This is the Turf Zone Podcast, your central information and news hub, bringing together professionals from turf associations across multiple states to share things to help you in your business. Brought to you in partnership with our friends at the Turfgrass Council of North Carolina. This episode is sponsored in part by Buy Sod, world-class service on demand. Visit us online at www.buysod.com. Now, let's get in the zone.
Welcome to the Turf Zone. In this episode of North Carolina Turfgrass, we feature the 2020 North Carolina Sod Producers Report from Grady Miller, PhD, Professor, Crop and Soil Sciences. In March 2020, North Carolina State University conducted the 6th annual survey to examine inventory and pricing of North Carolina sod. Here's the overview. The supply of Bermuda grass sod is up compared to 2019, with most suppliers saying they have adequate supplies for their expected demand in 2020. There still may be some shortages. Supply of Zoysia grass and St. Augustine grass are expected to be worse in 2020 compared to 2019, with more than 40% of surveyed producers expecting shortages. This was the third consecutive year that about one-third of the producers predicted they could have shortages of Centipede grass sod. No shortages for tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass sod were predicted for 2020. Only 4 North Carolina growers reported growing pure strands of Kentucky bluegrass, but half of those growers anticipated shortages. There are expected price increases for all the turfgrass species in 2020, except for Centipede grass. It's the same, and St. Augustine grass with a 7% decrease. Of the actual prices reported for early 2020, Zoysia grass and Kentucky bluegrass had the greatest increases. There was a 30% increase in growers reporting that they grew proprietary grasses, but a slight reduction in certified sod growers. This reduction was not expected because most proprietary grasses require certification. Production acreage was projected to increase in 2020. The primary market for North Carolina sod producers continues to be landscape contractors. There was an uptick in sales directly to homeowners, with a slight decrease in sales to the sports and athletic field sector of consumers compared to previous years. There was a 30% increase in the average number of full-time employees per producer. Total sod sales were reported to be 65% greater than the previous year. Here are the survey details. 23 producers representing the following farm sizes completed the anonymous online survey. Less than 200 acres, 11 participants. 201 to 500 acres, 4 participants. 501 to 800 acres, 4 participants. More than 800 acres, 4 participants. North Carolina Sod Producers Association, NCSPA, records show that the number of completed surveys represents about 55% of the sod farms in North Carolina. The number of farms for their respective farm sizes suggests that this survey represents an overwhelming majority of the sod production acreage in the state. Inventories. We obtained inventory estimates for Bermuda grass, Zoysia grass, Centipede grass, St. Augustine grass, tall fescue, and Kentucky bluegrass, as well as a tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass mix. These estimates were based on estimated sales and the availability of sod as being excellent, more than 10% of demand, adequate, equal to demand, or poor, more than 10% shortage. Pricing information included the farm price as well as the price for truckload orders delivered to the closest urban market or within 100 miles of the farms. All costs were reported as price per square foot of sod. Bermuda grass is being grown by 83%, of the surveyed producers. This is currently the most popular turfgrass species grown by North Carolina sod producers. 74% of these producers rated their inventory as adequate this year. 11% indicated their inventory was excellent. For 2020, 16% of all Bermuda grass producers projected having less than adequate supplies. Projected inventory levels of Bermuda grass have improved over the last 5 years, shown in Figure 1, after significant shortfalls were predicted for 2015. Zoysia grass is being grown by 17 of the surveyed producers. That's 74%, making it the second most popular turfgrass species grown by North Carolina sod producers. 53% of these producers rated their inventory as adequate this year, and 6% indicated it was excellent. For 2020, 41% of all Zoysia grass producers projected shortages. Figure 1. Of the producers surveyed, 14 are growing centipede grass. That's 61%. 64% of these growers reported they had adequate to excellent inventory. 36% of all centipede grass growers anticipate a shortage during 2020. 9 of the surveyed producers are growing St. Augustine grass, 39%. 56% of these growers reported they had adequate inventory, and 44% anticipated a shortage during 2020. The increased numbers of growers reported growing St. Augustine grass in 2020 versus earlier surveys, combined with an anticipated shortage of St. Augustine grass sod, suggests that interest in the turfgrass species has increased. Of the producers surveyed, 6 are growing tall fescue by itself, 26%. 100% estimated they would have adequate to excellent inventory, and no grower anticipated a shortage for 2020. Figure 1. A mixture of tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass is being grown by 11 of the surveyed producers, 48%. 100% of these producers rated their inventory as adequate to excellent this year. 4 producers, 17%, surveyed, reported growing Kentucky bluegrass by itself. Of the group that responded to this survey, 50% anticipated adequate supply during 2020, and 50% anticipate a shortage during 2020. Figure 1, percentage of Bermuda grass, tall fescue, and zoysia grass producers projecting adequate to excellent supply for the past 5 years. Pricing. Table 1 provides a sod price perspective for all grass species in 2020. The average price per square foot was 30 cents for a truckload of Bermuda grass sod at the farm and 35 cents delivered to the closest urban market or within 100 miles of the farm. The farm price ranged from 23 cents to 51, whereas delivered prices ranged from 25 to 58 cents. This is about a 7% increase in on-farm prices compared to 2019. Zoysia grass prices were among the highest of all turf grasses. The average price on the farm was 48 cents per square foot and ranged from 38 to 93 cents. The average price delivered to an urban market or within 100 miles of the farm was 49 cents and ranged from 40 cents to 73. The average on-farm price of zoysia grass increased by 9% from 2019. Centipede grass prices in 2020 ranged from 21 to 53 cents per square foot and averaged 27 cents. The price, when delivered, ranged from 22 cents to 58 and averaged 29 cents. The average on-farm prices for centipede grass was the same as 2019. St. Augustine grass prices in 2020 ranged from 36 to 45 cents per square foot and averaged 42 cents. The price when delivered ranged from 38 to 52 and averaged 46 cents. St. Augustine on-farm prices were 7% less than in 2019. Last year's price was a significant increase compared to the previous year, so the price reduction in 2020 still resulted in a sod price well above 2018 prices. See Figure 2. Price when delivered ranged from 38 to 52 and averaged 46 cents. St. Augustine on-farm prices were 7% less than in 2019. Last year's price was a significant increase compared to the previous year, so the price reduction in 2020 still resulted in a sod price well above 2018 prices. See Figure 2. Tall fescue prices in 2020 ranged from 29 cents to 55 cents per square foot and averaged 33. The price when delivered ranged from 34 cents to 64 and averaged 44 cents. The average on-farm price of tall fescue was the same as last year. The mix of tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass sod prices in 2020 ranged from 29 to 55 cents per square foot and averaged 34 cents. The price when delivered ranged from 31 to 65 and averaged 40 cents. The on-farm prices increased by 3% compared to 2019. Kentucky bluegrass sod price in 2020 ranged from 33 to 40 cents per square foot and averaged 34. The price when delivered was 44 cents for all three growers. This is a 9% increase on the on-farm price compared to 2019. Figure 2 provides a 6-year perspective of sod prices showing fluctuations of particular species since 2015. The data represents the average price. While not shown on this graph, there was a significant increase on the top end of the prices in 2020 compared to 2019 for all the grasses except St. Augustine grass. The largest percentage change reported for each grass compared to the previous year was as follows: Bermuda, 34%, Zoysia grass, 58%, Centipede grass, 47%, St. Augustine grass, minus 18%, tall fescue, 38%, tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass, 49%, and Kentucky bluegrass, 14%. Figure 2, historical perspective of average sod prices in North Carolina, 2015 to 2020. Projected price increases. Most of the surveyed growers forecasted sod price to remain steady or increase in 2020. The majority of sod producers predict that sod prices will remain steady in 2020. A few producers predict price increases or decreases for particular grasses. The percentages of producers with expectations for price change in each grass is as follows. Bermuda grass. 16% expect price increases, 79% expect price to remain steady, 5% expect prices to decrease. Zoysia grass. 35% expect price increases, 65% expect prices to remain steady, none expect prices to decrease. Centipede grass. 29% expect price increases, 71% expect prices to remain steady, none expect prices to decrease. St. Augustine grass, 40% expect price increases, 60% expect prices to remain steady, none expect prices to decrease. Tall fescue, 20% expect price increases, 60% expect prices to remain steady, 20% expect prices to decrease. Tall fescue plus Kentucky bluegrass, 8% expect price increases, 92% expect prices to remain steady, none expect prices to decrease. Kentucky bluegrass, 13% expect price increases, 67% expect prices to remain steady, and none expect prices to decrease. Proprietary grass. In 2020, 61% of the surveyed growers reported that they grew some proprietary grasses on their farm. This is a 30% increase compared to the last couple of years. The average percentage of their grasses that were proprietary was 28%, with a reported range from 0% to 70%. Certified grass. In 2020, 64% of the growers surveyed grew some certified sod. This was a 6% decrease in what was reported in 2019. The average amount of certified grass reported by these farmers was 50% of their total sod acreage. 46% of these producers charged more for certified grass, 2 cents to 5 cents more per square foot. Freight. Delivery charges are based on a flat rate for 57% of respondents and a per-mile basis for 43%. Freight rates per mile shipped to the closest urban market ranged from $3 to $5 per mile and averaged $3.83 per mile, a 7% increase from the previous year. 8 sod farms reported flat freight rates of $150 to $350 per shipment with a mean of 257, a 24% increase over the previous year, though these rates could vary depending on other factors. 45% of the respondents indicated that freight prices are included in price quotes to customers, where 55% invoiced freight separately. 87% of respondents indicated they did not charge an unloading fee. One sod producer charged a $75 unloading fee, a second charged $150, and a third charged $3 a pallet. 87% of respondents indicated they made additional drops on loads. The low-end charge for additional drops on a load was $20, and the high-end charge was $175. The average cost for additional drops was $66. Several reported that the charge was dependent on the distance between drops and that charges may be divided between buyers. Some also added a minimum drop fee, such as $35, plus a mileage rate, for instance, $4 a mile. Fuel surcharge. 2 producers indicated that they add a fuel surcharge. Relative fuel prices each year seem to influence this practice. As of last year, no producer reported they used fuel surcharges. Price changes. When asked how often producers adjust their sale prices, 61% indicated they adjust their prices yearly, whereas 39% make adjustments when needed. No respondents indicated that they adjust prices monthly or quarterly. Credit card convenience fee. Only one producer indicated they charged a convenience fee for credit card purchases. Sales by industry segments. Table 2 provides an indication of the industry segments where sod is sold. Surveyed producers estimated that landscape contractors, 66.6%, constituted the largest segment. The next highest group was homeowners at nearly 13%, followed by sports and athletics with nearly 10%. Golf courses were just over 5%, with retail garden centers at 3.6% and brokers at 2.3%. The largest changes compared to previous years are the increase in direct homeowner sales. Acreage in production. Of the survey respondents, 17% indicated that they reduced sod production acreage during 2019. The average decrease was 20%. Both of these responses are a significant increase compared to the previous year. 9% indicated that they would have reduced production in 2020. 78% indicated that they had increased acres during the last 3 years. The average percentage increase was 33%. The percentage of respondents who expected to increase production acreage in 2020 was similar to last year, but the average percentage increase nearly doubled. Employees. Several questions related to employee numbers and sod sales were added to this year's survey for the 3rd year. These data were collected as a requirement for the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services grant that was awarded to NCSPA. The average number of full-time employees at these sod production operations was 17 employees, which is a 30% increase from 2019. Of the 21 operations that responded, the number of full-time employees ranged from 1 to 100. The average number of seasonal employees ranged from 0 to 50, with an average of 8. Total sod sales. Total sod sales for the 18 operations that reported data ranged from $121,968 to $20 million. The average sod sales were $2.864 million, a 62% increase from the previous year's values. Total sod sales reported were $51,561,968. The mean value was influenced by a few larger operations. There were 3 operations with sales greater than $5 million and 4 with annual sales less than $550,000. 57% of the producers indicated their sales increased in 2019, whereas 13% had a decrease and 30% reported sales stayed the same. In summary, with 6 years of data, this year provided an opportunity to look at price trends for each of the turfgrass species. Following several years of reducing acreage due to poor sod sales, largely due to minimum new construction, the last 5 years have been years for good growth in production, which has allowed some increases in sod prices. The last year saw some of the largest increases since the survey was started. In the past, weather events significantly impacted the region. In general, 2019 was a mild year without the significant tropical events such as we saw in 2018. Currently, the COVID-19 pandemic has not dampened sod sales to date, as construction was deemed an essential function. Annual data provides some indication of sod supply and price in the near future. It is not known at this time how the pandemic will impact the building sector over the rest of the year. The total acreage of sod seems steady, with a small amount of growth. Most grasses seem to be in good supply for 2020. However, a high percentage of sod producers anticipate shortages for all the warm season grasses. The bulk of sod sales, greater than 66%, are to landscape contractors. It may be important to provide sod supply and relative pricing information to this group, especially in years when supply is limited or prices are expected to increase. For all photos, figures, and resources associated with this article, check out our show notes. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us out at theturfzone.com.
You've been listening to The Turf Zone. Thank you to our sponsors, including Buy Sod, world-class service on demand. Visit us online at www.buysod.com. For more episodes of The Turf Zone, visit theturfzone.com and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app.